Here's our full one-on-one conversation with Tom Holland. In Cherry, Holland plays a troubled war veteran who funds his drug addiction by robbing banks. He talked about the role with our Brian Truitt while filming Spider-Man 3.
How are you, Brian? You well?
Good. How about yourself? How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really good. We're shooting Spider-Man 3 at the moment. It's going really well. It's very exciting. And life is good. Life is good.
By the looks of your Instagram, you seem to be enjoying the comfy and casual world of virtual press these days.
Oh, yeah. Check out my legs, man.
Well, one of the downsides of going back to normal at some point down the line be doing interviews in pants again.
I actually do have pants on. I'm wearing Lululemon shorts, if you must ask. But yeah, it's such a luxury. The only problem with doing press at home is that I know that through that door is a couch with a television and a blanket. And I could be so comfortable right now watching television, but I can't because I've got to work. So that's the only thing, is that knowing that just through there is a very comfy spot for me to sit down.
Yeah, I'm sure you're doing long hours at this point.
Yeah, it's tricky. Obviously, we're shooting at the moment, and we have a slightly strange work schedule. We work Wednesdays through Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, Monday and Tuesday is now being filled up with lots of work for Cherry, which is okay because obviously I'm very proud of the movie and very proud to be a part of it. So doing the press is very important. But that said, it can be very tiring.
I heard that you first caught wind of Cherry when working with the Russos on Avengers. What one thing most drew you to playing this multifaceted role?
I remember I was doing an ADR session for Avengers Endgame, and Joe took me aside and sort of said to me, look, we're making this film. It's a small independent film. We would love for you to play the lead. Are you interested? And that was it. There was no like pitch. There was no what the film was about. And I said yes, because I love the Russos and I really look up to them. I admire them as people, and I also admire them as filmmakers. And I was really touched that of all the people that they could work with, they'd asked me to work with me. And then it wasn't until I read the script that I realized the opportunity that had been sort of given to me and how amazing it was. You know, as an actor, you always try to figure out ways to push yourself and challenge yourself. And this film looked like it was going to push me and challenge me in ways I couldn't have even imagined. So I was very excited. That said, also very apprehensive and a bit nervous about the challenge. But it was a pretty easy decision, you know, working with the Russos again, a film that is something I'm really excited about. So it's a bit of a win-win.
I was going to ask you if you had any doubts at all. And if you did, you mentioned some apprehension. Was there one thing that gave you the most apprehension about playing him?
I was really nervous. I was really, really nervous. I was even more nervous when I got the chance to see Sierra Bravo's audition tape, and I saw how talented she was and how amazing she was and what she was going to bring to the film. So I suddenly thought, like, wow, this girl's going to act me off the screen, and people are going to forget about me and just want to watch her. So I definitely realized the stakes were pretty high. But for me, the thing I was most nervous about was just the sheer workload, the maintaining that type of emotion, physically sort of getting myself to a place where I could be convincing in this character, and just maintaining that over the course of making a film. And, you know, I'm really proud of what I achieved, and I feel like I did the best job I could. I left everything on the field. But yeah, I think that the actual workload was the thing that worried me the most.
Well, you play this character from college kid to army recruit to Iraq vet to dope fiend to bank robber. You know, which of those which challenged you the most as an actor?
It's a very interesting question, and obviously the story of Dope Life, the chapter of the movie that's called Dope Life, was physically and emotionally unbelievably difficult, like so draining, day in and day out. It was a real grind, and one that, you know, took every bit of my strength to get through. But then mentally, the scenes in where Emily and Cherry were falling in love and they were young kids were really, really difficult, because we started off with the Dope Life. We then finished that section of the movie and then went in to start shooting him falling in love in the beginning of the movie. And because I'd had so much to do with my physicality, with the props that I was using, with my costume, with how different I was from myself, it felt like I was doing a really good job. But when I had to just do simple, naturalistic acting and having a conversation with someone, the workload was so much easier that mentally I kept thinking I wasn't doing a good enough job. And I remember saying to the Russos, I'm really worried that I've lost touch with what I'm supposed to be doing. And I go home and I'm not tired, and I wake up and I'm ready for work. And I feel like I'm not working hard enough. And they were like, dude, just remember that for the last 8 weeks, you've been playing a drug addict, and now you're playing a young boy falling in love. It's very, very different. So the mental aspect of that was difficult. And it took me a while to get over. But then when I see the film, I don't see any of those worries in my performance.
Seeing yourself in a superhero costume for the first time is, I'm sure, a visceral feeling like, I am this person now. Was there a similar experience seeing yourself for the first time as Cherry when he's in that spiral of addiction?
Yes, it really was. It really was. The opening shot of the film where Cherry runs out of his house and I sort of look down the barrel at the camera, I look at the audience, and that moment is basically saying to the audience, like, buckle up. If you want to come along on this journey with me, you can. It's going to be really hard to watch, but I'm here to help you. But when I first saw that shot in the edit room with Joe and Anthony, I really sort of was like, whoa. My immediate thought was, wow, my mum is going to hate this movie. But yeah, it was quite an amazing thing to see. And my amazing makeup artist, Rachel Speak, we did so much work in preparing, different prosthetics and eye bags, and we designed this whole look. It took months of making mistakes and months of tests and all sorts of different things. And she really absolutely knocked it out of the park. So it would not be half the film without her amazing work.
And you probably lost some weight too, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, the skinniest I got, I lost 28 pounds.
Did you have 28 pounds to lose?
Not really. And I had to convince my mum to not call the Russo brothers and shout at them down the phone. But yeah, it was necessary. It was absolutely necessary. I had interviewed lots of different people who had been through similar experiences, and it seemed like the right thing to do. And I think when you're telling a story that has elements of truth to it and is representing real people, you have, a duty to do justice to those characters. So the pain in which I was going through to lose the weight was only a smidge of what the people would have gone through in real life. So I was able to kind of use that as a fuel to keep going throughout the process of making the film.
Did you need a pair of filmmakers like the Russos, who obviously knew you quite well by then, to look out for you in going through this movie where you have to lose weight, you have to play all these different characters through all these different, pain and character development, all this kind of stuff that you do go through? I mean, how much did you lean on those guys?
Every day. I was leaning on those guys every day, and they were so gracious and caring, and they were like my dads, really. Or they're more, they're more like my older brothers. They were like these two guys who were there to help me through this process. Had I worked with a director who was not as caring and as kind as them, I would have just punched him, because I was giving so much of my soul and my life and into this film, and I felt so vulnerable at times, and it was painful at times, and to have them be there and respect you and to care about you and to kind of carry me through the process was so valuable. So I was very, very lucky to have those two in my corner.
Do you take what you've learned about yourself playing Cherry into a part like Peter Parker, coming back to him, since he is a character with a fair amount of gravitas, especially considering what stuff he's seen in his life and where we left him in the last Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, I think sometimes, unfortunately, people forget. You look at a superhero movie and you go, oh, it's just a superhero movie. You just show up, you say, hi, I'm Spider-Man and I'm going to fight the bad guy. But there is so much to it. It's the same as any film. We build these characters. We have an arc that they progress through. We have an arc that exists over 3 films and many ones that exist in the films. I don't know. I think one of the big things for me that I've learned from Cherry, which I will take with me for the rest of my career now, is that vanity means nothing. On every film I'd done before Cherry, you go back and you watch the monitor and then you say to your hair and makeup artist, would you mind just making my hair look a bit neater? Or would you mind just covering that spot up a little bit? And Cherry was the complete opposite. At times of the film, it was about making me look as hideous as possible. And having that freedom and taking away those insecurities of how do I look? Do I look okay? Has allowed me to just be much more confident in my own skin, and also allowed me to kind of portray characters in a more truthful way, because I'm not trying to make them look good. I'm just trying to make them be truthful. Mm-hmm. And I think that has probably been a very valuable lesson I've had throughout making that film.
Now, you also have this movie, Chaos Walking, which I just watched the other day. You play a character on a futuristic world where all of a man's inner thoughts are heard out loud. Would that be good or bad if everybody got to hear what was going on in your head?
I mean, there'd be some good, there'd be some bad, Yeah, same with everyone.
Well, it's an interesting concept because, and it's visualized so well too, but it's just like, what would happen if we all had to listen to each other all the time? And it is like the noise. I mean, that's a good word for it.
Well, it's interesting. We do listen to each other all the time with social media and the press. Everyone is trying to push out content and their lives and all this sort of stuff. But the difference is that lots and lots of people push out what they want you to see. Mm-hmm. They push out the life that they want you to believe that they live or lead. But it would be a bit of a disaster if there was no privacy. We're already living in a world where there isn't much privacy. So it would be worse if it got even worse.
You also get a franchise role with Uncharted as a globetrotting fortune hunter, Nathan Drake. What's the coolest thing about being that guy? And, where does that take you that we haven't seen from you before?
It was actually a really exciting challenge. One that I think I underestimated how big of a challenge it was going to be. The luxury of playing Peter Parker is that he's a superhero, but also a 15-year-old kid. So he kind of gets to play on the side of being the clumsy, juvenile, happy, innocent young man. Whereas Nathan Drake is very different to that. And it was for me to try and step into these shoes of being like a commanding kind of young man and someone who can hold themselves in a situation. And it was a lot of fun. I was lucky to be working with Mark Wahlberg. He's done that time and time again and proved that he is so good at that. So I was able to kind of watch him from afar and kind of pick up on some of his things. One thing that I picked up on, which I had to very quickly get rid of within the first 2 weeks of shooting, was a Boston accent. Our dialect coach was like, why are you saying cat? Why are you saying that? You're not from there. So it was a real big challenge, but I got a text message from Mr. Rothman, the head of Sony, yesterday, who saw the movie and he's over the moon and thinks it's fantastic. So that's a great piece of that's a great text to receive.
Well, we haven't had a character like that in a while. I mean, obviously Indiana Jones back when you were before your time and when you were a little kid, but we have in Tomb Raider to a certain degree too, but that's an old school kind of hero. Superheroes are a big deal right now and he's an old school kind of hero. Yeah,
he absolutely is. And it's when I sat down with Tom Rothman, I don't know, 3 years ago, and we sort of pitched ideas of movies I'd like to make. And he sort of had this idea of why don't we try and make a young Nathan Drake film? And we sort of sat there, we had lunch, then we ordered another lunch. We sort of sat there for hours and we were picking our brains apart and figuring it out. And it's exactly the type of movie I loved watching growing up. And that's why I was so excited to make this film. He is kind of like an old school hero, if you like. The way I imagined it, the way I tried to create him was imagine if Indiana Jones and James Bond had a baby, that would be Nathan Drake.
That's cool.
So that's the way I sort of tried to bring him to life.
So what has it been like playing Spider-Man again during a pandemic?
It's been amazing. I keep saying this, the pandemic has been so horrific and so traumatic for some people, and it's really sad to see. So I have to constantly remind myself of how lucky I am. I've made 2 films now in this pandemic, Uncharted and now Spider-Man 3. It comes with its complications. Everyone has to wear a mask and everyone has to try their best to social distance and all that sort of stuff. But everyone recognizes how lucky we are to be there. And everyone's doing what needs to be done to make sure we're all safe and healthy. We get tested every day. We have a great team of people, the COVID team who are there testing us. They've done a fantastic job. So, we just got to do what needs to be done, and it slows things down, but it means I get more time on set. I love being on set. I love the people I get to work with. So the more time I can spend with them, the better I am.
Does Spidey's mask count as PPE, or do you have to have another mask underneath, like a double masking situation?
No, the Spider-Man mask does not count as PPE. So I have to wear 2 masks and they have to just paint it out. No, that's not true. Obviously, when we're in the scenes, we have to take our masks off. We have a light system, a blue and yellow system. When the blue light is on, the actors are allowed to take their masks off to obviously perform. And when the yellow light comes on, we have to put our masks back on and then leave the set so crew members can come on and move things around and do things that they need to do. And at first, when they told me that system, it sounded exhausting, but it works really well. And it hasn't, there's been no problems so far.
I saw the Instagram with you and your brother the other day. Now, is that the same brother that you took to the Civil War premiere?
No, I took Sam to the Civil War premiere. That is Harry, his twin brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has that been helpful, just having him around and, just having somebody, your family going through this with you?
I cannot explain to you how valuable it is. Doing this for a living, you can very, very easily get lost in this business. It's deep water, and to have your brother there with you every step of the way is a real luxury. And he's one of the only people in the world who'll be like, Tommy, you're being a bit of a there. I think you should go and apologize. Oh, if he said that, then I must have been. So it's absolutely been an amazing, amazing thing for me. And I've been so lucky that he's been so okay with sticking with me. Yeah, I love him to bits, and I don't know what I'd do without him, really.
Doing a role like Cherry, because there is so much going on, it's an adult role, really adult because of where the story goes by the end. Does that kind of level up your own bar of what you want to do? I mean, kind of obviously, maybe you'll do another, Spider-Man film. Maybe he'll get to college age by the time, you get there. But I mean, do you want those kind of adult roles now more because you did Cherry?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. My agents and I have been very strategic about when we wanted to make that step into, becoming an adult. I'm, very lucky that I look young and I can continue to play the 17-year-old web slinger, and I will do that for as long as they will have me. As if they want me to make 10 Spider-Man movies, you best believe I will be there. I absolutely love making these films. But yeah, Cherry was our big leap. It was our first step into a new world of making different types of films. I'm really interested to see the types of doors that it opens and the doors that it closes. I'm really excited to, be able to present to directors I really look up to a piece of work that I'm really proud of and a piece of work that I think that they would really enjoy. And yeah, I'm excited for the future. It's an exciting thing to have a film like this coming out, and it couldn't be. I don't know. I'm happy.
I want to talk to you about some of the war scenes that you have to go through. Was that a lot of physical stuff, or was there some CGI in there?
I mean, there's probably elements of CGI there. I'm not too sure how much. I do know that when we were on set, we were firing blanks and we had 50 cows going off and explosions going off, and we were running away and drones flying and Humvees driving 5 feet apart at 60 miles an hour across a desert. So, it felt very real. Mm-hmm. And at times was really scary, really, really scary. But it was very physical, and it required a lot of fitness and training and getting in the gym and running every day and just making sure that I was healthy and I was able to do take after take after take. There's a scene in the film where I have to run really quite a long way. Mm-hmm. And I must have ran a marathon. I am convinced I ran at least 100 miles because we just were doing it again and again and again. And right at the end of the day, I actually tried to change direction and I dislocated my right ankle, and I felt it going, and I sort of looked down and my foot was like looking at me. And I was like, oh, I've broken my ankle. That is so annoying. And then I sort of tried to stand up, and as I stood up and put some weight on it, it kind of popped back in. And then at that point I went, oh, I've just dislocated it. I should be fine. But, they sent me home. but yeah, it wasn't the best. That wasn't the best moment. It wasn't very heroic of me at all.
That's a great scene though, because he runs into the fray. Like something's happened to people he cares about, and like everybody's like, don't do that, but he does it because he has. He's just like he's running on adrenaline at that point, and it's a really great scene.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
And then there's the basic training things where people, he's calling you with ears. What was that? Was that? Obviously, you go through all this, the fitness and the stuff to play Spider-Man, but going through like having a taste of like actual Army basic training, what was that like?
It was really interesting. I know that I would be a terrible soldier. I'm not afraid of working out and pushing myself in that sort of thing. But when we were doing the scenes in Morocco and we were shooting the combat scenes, it freaked me out, and it was something I really didn't like it. But the basic training stuff, it was an interesting time for me because we were transitioning obviously from Cherry and Emily falling in love, and now we're into this sort of really absurd, strange sequence. And I thought the Russos had totally jumped the shark. I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you shooting it on one lens? Why is my suit like 5 sizes too big for me? Like, I really, really thought that this was really strange. And then the robot thing that I do with the flag, I remember sitting down with the Russos and being like, guys, this is ridiculous. Like, why are we doing this weird sequence? And they basically sat me down and they said, we're just expressing how absurd it is, the training that these young men and women go through. And I sort of clicked and was like, oh, I get it. And when you watch the film, that really, really, you feel that kind of that choice they made. But I just, for that whole process, that whole 4 days, I think it was, I was like, this is the strangest sequence I have ever been a part of. But it was great.
So when you're done here, do you go work somewhere else, or do you take a break finally?
I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go home and just enjoy some time. It's the first time since I signed on to Spider-Man 1 that I don't have a contract with someone.
Wow.
So I might go skiing because that's something I've not really been allowed to do because it's obviously a dangerous sport and I have to make sure that I'm fit and healthy and ready to work. So I think we might try and go skiing somewhere. I don't know. I'm just going to go home and just see where the wind takes me.
Does the Marvel contract not allow you to ski?
Well, whether or not it says in it you're not allowed to, it would be pretty irresponsible of me if I went snowboarding and broke my leg and then suddenly had to say to Marvel, and Sony, I'm sorry, guys, I've broke my leg snowboarding. You're going to have to halt production. So I've been very careful over the years with what I've been doing outside of work, which is why I've become obsessed with golf because it's the only sport I can play without getting injured.
Are you good?
I am obsessed with golf. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's my one luxury of the week that I just can't wait for. I turn my phone off, I play with my brother and my friends, and I love it. I am good. I'm pretty good. I'm getting better, but definitely room for improvement.
Now, are you such a golf nerd now? Are you going to go hit up, Scotland and Ireland, some of the old school courses when things get normal?
Absolutely. Yeah. My brother Sam works up in Scotland at a golf resort, which is arguably one of the best in the world. And we all can't wait to go up there and visit him and see how he's getting on.
Is that going to be a cool day? Obviously, you're going to finish this Spider-Man movie. You're going to feel the sense of relief from that, but just finishing up a contract, being a 24-year-old finishing up a movie contract, which there's not that many movie contracts really anymore in Hollywood. Is that going to feel special for you?
Yeah, I think it really will. I mean, it's a strange thing. I've been so lucky that since the day I got cast as Spider-Man, I've always known that next year I have a movie to do, or next year I have a movie that comes out. And this is the first time in my life where I have nothing to do and I need to go and find a job, So I'm really excited to just explore the business and find a piece of work that I'm really excited and passionate about, and also just take a break and enjoy life and travel the world and meet some amazing people and just do what I want to do, really. So I'm very excited about it.
do you have, do you want to, now that you've done superheroes, you've done like 5 movies in one with Cherry, is there something that you want to tackle? Is there something that in terms of challenging yourself?
I really want to do a courtroom drama. A sort of, why am I blanking? What's the Tom Cruise film?
Oh, like A Few Good Men.
Few Good Men or Promise Beer.
Yeah, you want to be in a Sorkin drama.
yeah, Aaron Sorkin, if you're watching, mate, I'm your guy. But yeah, I'd love to do a courtroom drama. I think that's be something that I'd really enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever done theater? I mean, do you want to do theater again or a musical? I mean, obviously you did, from Billy Elliot. I mean, is that something obviously you're a good dancer. We've seen you dance. You're kind of a viral superstar in that sense.
I would love to. It's been really tricky. I've been looking for theatre to do over the last few years and just not found the right project. Or if I found the right project, I'm working elsewhere. So I probably will take some time to focus on finding something to do back on stage. I absolutely love being on stage. And looking back at my memories of Billy Elliot are some of the fondest of my entire life. So I absolutely would love to get back on stage.
One last thing, we'll let you go. What do you want to take when you finish up Spider-Man? What do you want to take with you? Do you want to take like a mask? Do you want to take like a web shooter? What is your dream thing that you want to take?
I think one of the most amazing things about being an actor or being someone that works on a film is that unlike any business or any job, when you finish work, there will always be this film, which is this tangible thing that you can sit down and watch and reminisce. So I have so much that I've already taken just from being able to watch the film because it's all up here. Mm-hmm. But if Sony and Marvel don't let me take the Spider-Man suits home, I am going to steal them. I'm just going to walk out in them. I'm going to wear all of them at the same time. And I'm going to walk out and be like, if you want them, you have to come and take them off me because I want them. I haven't been able to keep one yet. And I'm probably going to just have to steal them.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for taking time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out these other videos from USA Today Entertainment to stay up to date on all of the latest celebrity news.